We're good? Good evening and welcome to September. We are glad you all are here at our City Council meeting. We have a lot of good business to discuss tonight. We'd love to begin with our Pledge of Allegiance, so we'll ask our Vice Commander of the American Legion to come forward and lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated, and if you will take this time to join us in a moment of silence that you can use for silent prayer, to reflect on the meeting, to prepare yourself for the business about to take place. Thank you all very much. Council members, before we get started, I'm going to ask if we can make an amendment to the agenda and move the resolution of support for kidney transplant services, which is currently under new business, under proclamations. Would that be acceptable?
I make the motion, Mayor.
We have a motion to amend the agenda. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. At this time, we will open the floor for citizen comments on public matters. If you have something you would like to share with us, we ask that you would come down front. Please use the podium, use the microphone, state your name for the record, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. So the floor is now open for citizen comments.
Hello, I'm Bill Fleischer. I really enjoy our parks. Wildwood's a wonderful place to walk. One of the things I've noticed is that the trees had fallen and broken some fencing not far from where the tunnel is. And I'd just like to know if there's any kind of volunteers that would be put together to fix that. If so, I'd be willing to help. Just don't know who to talk to about that. I don't know whose auspices that falls under.
Is that the wooden railing? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We actually have a bunch of that ordered. It to be replaced by Public Works.
Oh, okay. Well, do they ever accept volunteers?
We'll take volunteers anytime they come up.
Okay, all right, well.
Thank you for
Just call.
offering and
Thank
letting us
you.
know. Thank you.
Team
Go
USA.
anywhere. We got lots of stuff coming up for you.
Anybody else have any citizen comments on public matters? Seeing none, we will close that portion of the meeting and move forward with a report. We've asked Kevin Bird, our director of the New River Valley Regional Commission, to come forward and talk with us this evening a little bit about this new project for a new home for this facility. Currently, the commission has been in Pulaski County after a significant amount of time in Radford, and they are looking at a new home in Christiansburg. I serve as council's representative on the Regional Commission board and also on the Executive Council. So I thought it was prudent to ask Kevin to come forward. Kevin, the floor is yours. Thank you for being here.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. I appreciate the opportunity to address you all. I'm going to walk you through a few slides tonight. It gives you some background about the Regional Commission, some about current conditions of our location currently in the Pulaski County Innovation Center, and some details about opportunity that we have in a purchase agreement that we're in right now with a new property. So we were chartered in 1969, so we've been around for well over 50 years at this point. Our first 30 years, we were located on Wadsworth Street next to the public school or the school board office. In 1999, when the what was called the New River Valley Competitiveness Center was constructed, our organization helped facilitate construction of that project, and we located in that facility, and that has since turned over to Pulaski County Innovation Center. Since that time, we've expanded 3 times within our current space. Our suite that we were in was designed for 13 employees, and currently we have 22. As a result, we have decentralized staff spread throughout the building, and we've done what we can within our current space, converting closets into office space, and we're also using a large conference room and have 5 employees in a conference room to make space work. But this is a rundown of our space with 13 employees in the suite, 1 in a single office, 3 shared in an open space, 5 in that conference room. We have some storage space, so right now we have about 5,000 square feet for 22 employees, and 11 of those are in an open working environment. We've been working on this issue for a number of years. In 2018, our board appointed a committee to evaluate our current space, and we brought an architect on board through a procurement process to figure out if we could expand within the current facility, looking at storage space that was unoccupied at the time adjacent to our office, and then other configurations in the building. And we went through that process and realized it'd probably be worthwhile to evaluate external options given the cost that would have been in a tenant environment. One of the location that was identified was an office location in Christiansburg area, but after-hours access at a currently operating bank was a problem. We have evening meetings, as you all do, and wanted public to be able to access those, and we had no way to be able to manage access after hours. Also, by the time we were getting into negotiations with the bank, a pandemic struck, and everything was set aside with the search process, and we expanded in our current location. That's why we rented 2 additional spaces outside of our suite. So in November 2023, we re-engaged in this whole process. We had a real estate broker that's been involved with Poe and Cronk to help do an evaluation of locations that are available. We asked them to identify locations that are central to the region based on the meetings that we host and the services we provide. We want to be central. So I looked at sites in Radford, Fairlawn, Christiansburg, and Blacksburg. There were 2 sites that met criteria. Both of those would have been in a rental environment. We were not out to purchase at the time, but both of those needed substantial tenant improvements, again, based on what we had found in our current location. So as we were moving through that evaluation process, we had a third option that came up to us, and it was the merger of the Atlantic Union Bank building with American National Bank. And Atlantic Union came to us and said, well, we have an option for you if you'd be interested in purchasing. So that changed the dynamic of the conversation. So right now we are currently evaluating or in a purchase agreement for 2950 Northeast, or 2950 Market Street Northeast in Christiansburg. That's the former American National Bank building. Within that space, it accommodates staff very well. However, we do have 2 meeting spaces that need to be accommodated there. One, a larger one that would host board and other regional meetings, as well as a mid-sized space. Then there is additional expansion space if needed within there. I'll show you a couple of pictures here in a moment. So this is the facility. Many of you have probably seen this in Christiansburg as you drive by on Franklin Street. It's adjacent to Enterprise Rental. Here gives you a proximity map on that northeast quadrant is the location across from Corning. Then inside, as I mentioned, they have the potential for future expansion if needed to be able to put a second floor decking in here above that foyer space. We are looking at a large meeting room project that would begin where this teller space is. So if you're on the right-hand side of this screen where that pillar comes down and you see the flooring difference, be looking at putting a wall into that space and then building out through the drive-through to be able to enclose that for the large meeting room that we would need. That second meeting room that we've talked about is in the upper part here in the second story. Oh, good, there is a pointer. So this area up here that's kind of open, unprogrammed space right now to be able to wall that in to be able to allow for a second meeting room. So that first picture you were looking at was taken from this vantage point walking through the double doors. Just some other interior images of the property. General layout here, won't belabor the layout of space. That's the profile of the facility from Franklin Street, and then again closing in this drive-through for a large meeting room space. We worked with Colley Architects. We had worked with them when we evaluated the Pulaski County Innovation Center, worked with them again on this project to figure out whether or not this facility could accommodate the meeting space that we needed. And the preliminary architecturals came back, and it looks like that does work. And that's why we're continuing to pursue the project. Is the large meeting room to accommodate 60 to 80 tables. And we'd also have this designed to where there would be exterior entrance so we could control the rest of the facility in the evening and allow easy access. And other organizations, other than the Regional Commission, could use this in the evening as well. There'd be a bathroom expansion as a requirement of the meeting, or the number of people that are in the facility. And there's a kitchenette that's added here for catering purposes to be able to have food on site. And this is that second story meeting room space that I mentioned, just closing in that open, unprogrammed area. And we would still have a little bit of shared space happening in this larger room and then this one as well, but those are already very well designed to accommodate people. So how we're using this to be central location for regional commission offices. One aspect of this that is appealing is it's accessible via public transit. We don't have that option now for our public meetings. All of our meeting rooms will be available for our members to use outside of our immediate organization. And that large meeting room, as we're looking to design, is be able to use that for emergency communication, emergency operations center. So when we were navigating pandemic as a region, we had New River Community College allowed access to their facility. And then when classes resumed, our public health team was moving around quite a bit for a little bit there, but that would allow for some regional continuity of operations space. So current option, we have a purchase agreement in place for $2 million for the facility. The assessed value, not the appraised value, but the assessed value is at $3.1 million. So it's already quite a bit of an asset there. We have this due diligence period through October 16th, and then 30 days after that to close, depending on our financing timeline. For financing, we're working with Davenport & Associates. They're a well-known financial advisor to many local governments in the New River Valley. They've identified two pathways for us. One is Virginia Resources Authority. They have a pooled financing program where they do a call for local government projects, and then they package those and then put it out to bid, essentially. And then they also are going through an RFP process currently with private banks, private lending opportunity, and I've heard from other local banks in the past couple of weeks that they've seen that RFP and they plan to respond. So there's enthusiasm in the lending community for this project as well. We expect to get those results back from both of those in about 2 weeks time frame. We'll know more about which pathway to pursue with best terms and rates. So overall project, $2 million for the building purchase. It's estimated about $1.25 million on the high end for both of those meeting rooms. So $3.25 million total project. There are 16 members of the Regional Commission. 13 of those are local government and 3 of those are higher ed institutions. And what we've looked at is a capital assessment based on population. So dues for the Regional Commission are based on population, and it's a similar formula to look at the capital assessment for that debt financing. And there's 2 options I'll walk through here with you. One is a lump sum upfront payment of that, and the other is an annual assessment for the loan term. So this is a little bit blurry on the slide for you. That's why I have a printout in front of you so you can walk across the spreadsheet. But here, I have our members identified on the left, and the way that we calculate membership is based on population, and the city of Radford pulls the Radford University student base that's on campus out of the city population. So that's why you see your population figures lower, because you do count on-campus students. We pull them out for the purpose of membership of the Regional Commission. Then down the bottom, 182,000 is our population for the region, total project at 3.25 million. And you divide those to get the population factor for the portion of the project. So 7.6 is the population factor for the city of Radford, just under $250,000 for if it was to be a lump sum payment option. 2 points before I move into the terms. We have Montgomery County has offered to back the loan, and they are also they plan to do a lump sum payment of the $600,000 for their portion. Them backing the loan is going to help the region secure a much better financing rate as a result. So on the blue table there, this is full project cost, financing $3.25 million. This does not account for Montgomery County's lump sum payment. This assumes them paying on an annual basis. You can see City of Radford amount in here from a 25-year Virginia Resource Authority pooled financing option from $16,000. If there was a bank loan at 15 years, which would be the most aggressive at $23,000 a year. What we're anticipating is a 20-year note based on going more than that, probably not great for a facility. Less than that's going to be pretty aggressive payment schedule. So looking at 20 years. These rates that are shown in here are what Davenport was comfortable sharing publicly about a month and a half ago at latest. We are told that they will be lower than that, but they are being very conservative in sharing what those rates would be. And so as you're looking at the different rates, it's, 0.5% is about $750 adjustment for the city. Montgomery County putting in their full share on the lump sum moves City of Radford likely Virginia Resources at the alignment, 20,000 there, and then just under 20,000 here. So it's not a lot of adjustment between the bank loan and VRA option, but that's what we're getting details on right now to get a final number from them. But wanted you all to have the most up-to-date information that we have on this project. As I mentioned, we're looking at mid-October for closing. The Regional Commission Board will be looking at the financing options when we meet on the fourth Thursday of September, so September 26th. County is meeting this evening, just looking at their resolutions of support to back the financing this evening. And with that, I'll pause there and take any questions that you might have.
I just wanted to point out too with this that in addition to the work the Regional Commission does currently, they're helping us with our zoning modification as part of the work they do, but they're also the home for the opioid recovery ecosystem, and that would be a part of this. As Kevin was talking about, the BCT, the Business Consultation Team, and the entire COVID system, COVID recovery system was part of the Commission's effort, and they were able to use some other facilities that they don't presently have now. So again, just thinking about some of those things, that's part of what is included here, not just planning. So I just wanted to share that out. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
I have a question. So are there still any options at all of looking at renting? You guys do a ton of great work. This building kind of looks, like a Taj Mahal. I mean, this is a nice building at a pretty exuberant cost. Are there any possibilities for rental or anything else on your radar?
We did an extensive evaluation of the region, I will say that, and we couldn't build this facility for $2 million, and we would have a hard time renting that same type of square footage for that dollar amount. Our rent that we currently pay now is a little bit higher than the annual operating cost for this space. So we would be continuing our level cost for operating and asking members to support the debt service. So if we were not doing the purchase project on this, we'd be looking at close to that amount of cost for upfitting another space when we're looking at trying to renovate space to accommodate what we need. But we were pretty surprised when this option came to us and at that under.
That was just about April, I think, April or May confidentially, and then the soonest we could talk about it publicly was about a month ago.
That's correct. But,
So when you're looking at us taking on those extra expenses, what do you perceive our total payment would be for that? If you can go back to the next slide there.
Sure.
Yeah, so,
Well, it jumped around.
yeah,
So this is the lump sum amount if the city chose to pay upfront, that $246,000. Now, if you're looking at the 20-year terms, anytime you finance something, it's going to be more expensive over the long term because you have the fees associated with that. So then the annual amount, I would assume it's going to be around $18,000 a year additional.
So that's in addition. So I guess I'm trying to kind of peel away how much our expenses to be involved outside. If you could just talk about that outside of this build, what is our portion of your payment to run business?
Are you asking what our dues are for the Regional
Yeah,
Commission?
what is that? So we know what that is. I mean, I know we've just went over the budget, but I don't think everyone's been going line by line over the budget. So for clarity, this is on top of what we are already
Correct.
paying. So what we're already paying in Radford towards this organization is how much?
And I need to pull that up for you.
I was
I was
going
gonna
to say,
say-
it's very similar to that number.
Right, so it's,
thank you.
that's, right, so it's really
Yeah.
doubling our participation amount.
That's correct. We receive about $240,000 of unrestricted funds a year to operate a $7+ million budget. Everything else is restricted, competitive, grant-based, and that's why we need to look to the members to finance, because we really have no other dollars to be able to do a project. But that's correct. That's why it's in line. So it is a double amount on an annual basis.
Kevin, it might be helpful if you could just talk a little bit about the $18,000 they pay now to the Regional Commission, how that helps match a lot of
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, about 240,000+ unrestricted from local governments, and then we receive $89,000 a year from the Commonwealth unrestricted. So that's the only unrestricted dollars that we have. And then those are going in to support if we need to buy computers, if we need to attend training, those sort of things. Some of our grant programs will allow for us to do that, but it's quite difficult to get pay for that type of activity. And then we use that to match our VDOT program, which is the Transportation Assistance for Project Development. If communities have an application to VDOT, we'll do that work. Appalachian Regional Commission, we're doing this technical assistance. The mayor mentioned our zoning projects. Anytime we have a local government assistance request, we do that at 50% cost because we use the ARC dollars to pick that up. And there's so many other ways that unrestricted dollar gets spent to match other state and federal dollars. But then, this past year, being able to support an application for East Main redevelopment project and be able to secure ARC funds to do the trail connector of $700,000. That's the type of work that we're involved with and use these matching dollars to be able to have those relationships with the funders. But yeah, it is an additional cost is what we're looking at to do this project.
So what if we decided to not do this? So we would not become a member. What would be the repercussions of that? And would you ever be able to join back in, given a better financial standing?
So membership with the Regional Commission is completely optional. And that's why we work very hard every year to demonstrate our value to the members. And if you were to step aside, then I'm sure you'd be able to get back in at some point. And then how it would be handled if you chose to be a member but not participating on the building piece, that would probably redistribute the funds across the rest of the members. So we would take one out, and then the amount the others need to pick up becomes more.
So there's an option to still be a participant but not increase our cost double to help pay for the building?
Potentially. We haven't had that conversation around the board table, but
Okay.
I don't know how that would go over necessarily, but it's a worthwhile question to ask.
Just trying to get options.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. You got to ask all the questions, and that's what you're to do. But yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions, comments?
Well, if you all have any more after this, please get in touch with me.
Thank
I'm
you.
happy to take those and appreciate the time this evening. So thank you.
And we don't have any action required this evening. This was just for our information to know
think
before
that's
we
great.
move forward.
And would it be possible to get something specific as to how our interactions have assisted our community?
Absolutely. We have an annual report that's hot off the press next week, and you'll be
Good.
seeing that. And then there should be a pretty long memo about this as well that's available
What
for
we
you.
can probably do is pull the last 2 or 3 year annual reports, because the way they break it down, there's actually a section where they've talked about the projects that they're doing with Radford and the dollars and the man hours and all that as a part of that. So we can pull all that together for everybody.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Kevin. We appreciate
Kevin.
you, and thank you for all the work you all do. Okay, lots to think about. As we move forward with proclamations, the week of September 17th through the 23rd, 2024, is nationally recognized as Constitution Week. The Daughters of the American Revolution set aside the week to formally commemorate the importance of the document as a testament to liberty, freedom, and inalienable rights. We have some representatives of the DAR here with us this evening. Thank you all for joining us. And Kelly, I think you have a resolution for us this evening.
Yes, I sure do. Radford, Virginia Proclamation Constitution Week, whereas September 16th, 2024 marks the 237th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which will commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 16th through the 22nd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Council of the City of Radford, Virginia, that the week of September 16th through the 22nd be known as Constitution Week. And we ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of ideals the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties. Remember that lost rights may never be regained. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to accept this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Would you all like to come down and receive this proclamation? If you all will join us down front. I just want to say thank you to the Daughters of the American Revolution for all the work you do to support our patriotic duty to our nation and all the things you do to help us keep that in mind. We're so appreciative of it. Come on down front. Here you go. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. Okay. And I also want to mention for just a minute, Jenny Jones is an integral part of this organization and has been for many years. She's unable to be with us this evening, but we think of her as well. And it's her birthday. So there you go. So thank you all.
Somewhere better to be?
We have another proclamation looking at Patriot Day, a holiday here in the United States set for September the 11th to commemorate the lives of those who passed in 2001 during the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center in New York City and on the Pentagon as well in Virginia, and those who perished when United Flight 93 crashed in Pennsylvania. This proclamation recognizes the significance of this event and the lives lost. Seth, I think you have a proclamation for us.
Proclamation, United States Patriot Day. Whereas in the United States, Patriot Day occurs on September 11th of each year in memory of the people killed in the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. And whereas on September 11th, 2001, the first responders of New York City demonstrated the true meaning of the word hero as they went forward into the unknown danger to help and rescue others. And whereas, in the aftermath of the attacks, President George W. Bush proclaimed Friday, September 14th, 2001, as a national day of prayer and remembrance for the victims of the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001. And whereas Joint Resolution 71 designates September 11th as Patriot Day and requests the President to issue a proclamation each year regarding the observation of Patriot Day and the display of the U.S. flag at half-staff in honor of the individuals who lost their lives as a result of the terrorist attacks on September 11th, 2001. And whereas the city of Radford is blessed to have the same caliber of heroes in our first responder community, and whereas this year marks the 23rd anniversary of these terrorist attacks, the loss of life and damage that these terrorists caused form the biggest act of terrorism ever on United States soil. Nearly 30,000 people died in the attacks, and the economic impact was immense. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Council of the City of Radford that September 11th, 2024 be known as Patriot Day in the City of Radford, and we call upon the citizens of Radford to remember and honor those our nation lost and recognize the tremendous heroism of the first responders. Council, I'd like to make a motion to accept this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Seth, for that proclamation. And Patriot Day is an incredibly solemn and important day to remember in our nation. On Wednesday at 5 p.m. at Glencoe Mansion, we will be recognizing Patriot Day as the September 11th anniversary, and we'll be wrapping up our Field of Honor with the closing ceremony. And Mrs. Foster is handing out those statements right now. Do you want to say anything more about that?
Yeah, I want to take a second to recognize the Noon Rotary and all the work and time that they've put into this, as well as everyone on the Heritage Foundation. And just to let folks know, there will be some light food there, and I want to give a special thanks to Jimmy John's, Sal's, La Cabana, and Walmart's providing the drinks. And we are going to be honoring our veterans and our first responders. We would love to see everyone out there.
And that is 5 o'clock this Wednesday at Glencoe Mansion. Please join us. We hope we will see you. We do have another resolution to consider. Carilion Clinic has requested that City Council provide a resolution of support for them to apply for a certificate of public need to bring kidney transplant services to Southwest Virginia. It's an incredibly important need, obviously, and this resolution highlights the local need, cost efficiency, and timely care, as well as Carillion's medical presence in our area. Ms. Foster, you have that.
Resolution of support for kidney transplant services provided by Carilion Clinic at Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital. Whereas Carilion Clinic is applying to the Commonwealth of Virginia for a certificate of public need to bring kidney transplant services to Southwest Virginia through its flagship hospital, Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital. And whereas the Radford City Council wishes to improve access to high-quality kidney transplant services for its residents and other citizens of the region. And whereas the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate that 1 in 7 U.S. adults have chronic kidney disease, the 10th leading cause of death in the country. Whereas in Virginia, there are currently 2,300 residents on the state's wait list for kidneys. Whereas patients in Roanoke and Southwest Virginia live hours from a transplant center, making it difficult to access critical services, resulting in long wait list times and care complications. Whereas there is a growing need for kidney transplant services among Southwest Virginia's population, and these local services will allow for a more cost-effective and timely care. Whereas these services will increase the number of medical professionals and healthcare employment opportunities in the city, whereas Carilion Roanoke Memorial already provides highly complex medical services that include Level 1 Trauma Center, a Level 3 neonatal intensive care unit, and 85 medical specialties. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of Radford, Virginia supports the plans and efforts of Carilion Clinic to establish kidney transplant services at Carilion Roanoke Memorial Hospital. Be it further resolved that the Radford City Council enthusiastically supports the application of Carilion Clinic for a certificate of public need to bring kidney transplant services to Roanoke in Southwest Virginia, and congratulates Carilion on its recognition by U.S. News and World Report as the highest-ranked hospital in Southwest Virginia and one of the top hospitals in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much. And I know we have a representative here, so come on down. And we will present
I
you
also
with this
didn't, I
proclamation.
wanted to give him an opportunity if there was anything else he needed or thought was beneficial to add, to let us know.
Thank you. I really appreciate the support. The best health care is local health care. We are going to do the operations for the transplants for the kidneys in Roanoke, but see all of the patients, local patients locally. We're going to be seeing them at the New River Valley Medical Center. We're coordinating well with our local nephrology groups, and we're going to keep it here local. So I really appreciate all of the support.
And thank you for all you do for our community. Come on down and let's get this resolution, and we will go from there. Okay, a lot of good things going on in Radford, positive things to commemorate, positive things taking place. I have a little bit of business to do here to get us ready for our next step. We received a request from Comcast in May of 2024 to operate a franchise in the city of Radford. It is to conduct, maintain, replace, repair, and operate a system of cable network services and transmission within the city of Radford along roadways, easements, alleyways, and on public grounds. And it's a proposal period for 10 years that includes a pole attachment agreement. We have advertised and held a public hearing at our August meeting, and we are considering this franchise. And as such, we've asked their representative, Chris Mulhall, to join us, so I'm going to get him on the phone here, if you'll give me just a moment. Hold on.
Call cannot be completed if dialed.
So I don't hit 1, correct? Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening, Chris. This is David Horton and the Radford City Council. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
We are considering ordinance 1806, which is for franchise consideration for Comcast, and we wanted to ask you to join us so you could answer any questions that we might have. If it is okay with council, I had a couple questions that we had passed along, and just wanted to get those confirmed. Can you talk a little bit about the makeup of the proposed network that you're looking at? Historically, this has been a coaxial-based network, and we were curious as to the fiber and how that would work within the city.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for asking that. Comcast is proposing that we are building out our state-of-the-art EPON network, which is our fancy term for fiber network, from day one.
So fiber network from day one. What is your construction time with that if you were to be granted the franchise immediately?
If we're granted the franchise, we are hoping to fully build out within a time period of 3 years. We do not think it would take that long. We just ask for that number of time just in case of weather or anything else unforeseen.
Council members, are there other questions that you all have?
I just wanted to point out, it is a non-exclusive franchise agreement.
Correct. Any other questions? This is something that has been of interest to members of our community, which is why we wanted to ask about the fiber network and the services that might be provided. Do you have anything else you would like to share with us regarding this network and the service for the city of Radford?
Our network is absolutely phenomenal. We are one of the first internet providing companies that has a storm-ready Wi-Fi system, which is a one-time purchase fee. If, God forbid, internet or even power goes out to your house, you will still have internet going through our Wi-Fi using our award-winning cellular network. And our battery for our storm-ready Wi-Fi lasts for 4 hours because the average outage in America is about 2 hours. So we've doubled capacity. And we are so confident in our network and the strength and the viability of it that it is a one-time fee just to purchase the equipment and not a monthly service fee associated with it. That is how confident we are in our network.
Thank you very much. Would the network have to be fully completed before residents could begin to see service on it? Or when might they be able to begin signing up and receiving service once you get construction started?
That's a great question. No, we will be opening up enrollment on a rolling basis as soon as we complete all of our system installation and certification in each area. And residents will begin receiving mailers from us about 90 days out before they are able to sign up.
So if construction started sometime this fall, when might some of the first residents begin to receive some of those mailers and those opportunities?
I would say early next year.
Okay. Any other questions from council? I have no other questions. Is there anything else you want to leave us with before we let you go this evening?
No, sir. We are very excited to work with Radford, and we are looking forward to becoming great community partners with everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
My pleasure, sir.
Okay, council, we do have the packet. It's a fairly extensive contract. It is a non-exclusive agreement, which means that multiple operators, including the current operator in the city, franchise operator, can continue, as well as others could potentially come in. When we advertised the public hearing, we did provide an opportunity that if there was anyone else who wanted to provide a proposal, that they could. No additional proposals came in. The contract was reviewed by the city attorney and staff, and they saw no issues with it. So therefore, is there any further discussion, or do we have a motion to approve ordinance 1806?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if I
I'm
may,
sorry.
before you do, after I provided council with copies of the franchise agreement, I received two small changes that were requested by Comcast I would like to share with you.
Please do.
I think you could still approve the agreement, but subject to these changes.
Is your mic on?
It
You're good,
is,
okay,
it is.
thank you.
Closer to you. Thank you.
Under Section 3 of the franchise agreement, this talks about the build area, and as with any franchise agreement, it does contain certain exceptions based upon residential density, whereby they would not be required to build out in those areas. And under Section 3.1.1.8, they've added this sentence. It'd be the last sentence of that paragraph that states, for purposes of this Section 3, a home shall not be counted as a dwelling unit if such home is currently not serviceable by Comcast and within 200 feet drop distance of the public right-of-way. And, you know, I had a question about, well, what exactly does that mean by serviceable? And Comcast explained that that would mean if it was, say, a household that they were already providing service to and therefore could not provide service to. Does that make sense? New service to.
It does for new service, but the question I would have, and I'm guessing here that if we have some people that are on more remote areas in the city, they're saying potentially that if it doesn't make sense for them to provide service, they may not provide service to
That's
those
it in a
areas.
nutshell, and the franchise agreement already has exceptions in it
Right.
for that.
So I imagine that my address would be one of those people that would be in question.
Could be, could be.
On Jordan Avenue. Would those citizens have any kind of argument? Now, I had to get with the city and I had to argue with Chantel, and they eventually, you know, dug up the entire private road and
Right.
got service. So would those people be allowed to argue, you know, well, Chantel did it, why aren't you? I mean,
I think
or
that they
just say
could
no?
do that, but
Okay.
I think it'd be up to Comcast ultimately
Yeah.
whether or not to do that.
And we don't have any authority
And by
to
the way,
compel them. Yeah.
correct, I don't think you all have authority to compel that, but I will say that you have similar restrictions in the Chantel
Right.
agreement as well. This isn't something that's new.
What's the other piece you wanted
The
to
other
share?
thing, just real quickly, is under the franchise agreement, you know, Comcast, you know, assuming that this was approved, would provide at least one PEG channel, a channel that would be dedicated to public educational or governmental purposes. And as part of that process, you know, the city may have Comcast collect basically a PEG capital support fee to help support that programming. And they asked to add in there that that fee would begin to be collected once the city provides 30 days written notice to Comcast that the channel has been activated.
So with that, that is under the control of the city for the PEG, correct?
Correct, the
And it
programming.
would be at our discretion how to program it, similar to what we have with, again, our current franchise provider.
That's correct.
And I don't recall in that agreement, do we have a collection fee and a remuneration to the city
I
from
believe so,
the current
yes.
provider? Okay. And with that PEG, we have the authority to determine how it is programmed, i.e. with contractual relationship with another entity, or if we choose to do it ourselves?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
Those are the only two changes that I had for you.
I just had a general question, and I'm not sure if you would be able to answer this, David. I know we're gonna get a fee from, and I lost the, so it would be $100 application fee for every 25 polls, and then $30 a poll annually that they put something on?
Yes, it is
How many poles is
Remind
that
me, Mike,
roundabout? Is
you
that
got
like,
that mic, it's
I
the
can't
gr-
even
it's-
imagine.
it's great.
I could
Go
read
ahead.
it to you if
Yeah.
that's good.
Oh, no, I mean, it's right here.
The pole attachment agreement basically provides that there shall be an application fee of $25 per pole per attachment to defray the administrative cost to review and process the application. In addition to that, there would also be a rental amount paid for these attachments.
It's $30 a pole
Well,
annually?
there's going to be a 3-year phase-in period. You know, in essence, right now, the annual rent, and this is what Chantel as well has, is it's $22 per pole, but beginning March 1, 2025, that rent may be increased up to $24 per pole. Beginning March 1, 2026, that rent may be increased up to $28 per pole. And then on or after March 1st, 2027, rent may be increased up to the $30 per pole that you're remembering.
And council would be able to vote on whether we want to increase it or keep it the same every year?
Well, no, I think.
Or is it just going to be that
this would be
exact
s- This would be
increase? Okay.
set, this would be set as stated in this agreement for the next 3 years. After that, rent, at least during the term of this agreement, is adjusted based upon CPI on an annual basis, the consumer changes in the consumer price index.
Okay.
And that's one of the things with all the modern contracts that we've had, we've been trying to build in. You've seen those more often, those consumer price increases, because we went for so many years that there were hold rates from 30 years ago or 40 years ago. So we've been trying to build those in. Mike's done a good job of helping catch those up, and we've been doing those as we've gone along. Also, when you have a franchise like this, there'll be other communication taxes and things like that that will come in into your revenues as well for their activity and sales.
Okay.
Right.
And licensing.
To explain that, these fees that I just described would be in addition to the fees for the franchise itself, which are paid to the city as a consumer sales and use tax, as David indicated.
Yeah, I think that all sounds fine. I was just kind of curious about how many polls that is annually.
I can
Just wondering.
give you an estimate of that.
I know, right?
Yeah,
mean,
if
it's a
it's a
pretty
whole
good-
build-out, it's,
Pretty good piece of revenue.
lot.
I mean,
I think it's 3,000 to 4,000 polls.
yep.
it's good. That's all I have.
Any other questions or comments? All right, council, once again, do we have a motion to adopt ordinance 1806, which is a franchise agreement, non-exclusive with Comcast? We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We had 4 affirmative votes, so we can dispense with a second reading if so desired. Is there a motion that we do so?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second to dispense with the second reading. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Well, Mrs. Foster keeps me straight, and she let me know that I completely got too excited about everything we were doing and didn't include our presentation from the Rotary Club regarding their peace pole. Radford Noon Rotary has an idea to have this located on a city facility. It's about 6 feet tall. I believe this is it in the back of the room. So if you all will come on down and give us an overview of your peace pole project.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council members. Good evening. I am Tom Alston, the president of the Radford Noon Club. And we would like to share an inspiring project that embodies our yearning for peace and unity, a community endeavor that symbolizes hope and serves as a beacon for a better world. We have the peace pole in front of us. We purchased it along with, as part of a grant from our district, and the only thing we need is a suitable place to put it in the city of Radford. The Rotary Club will install it and maintain it. It only requires digging a hole with a post hole digger, putting some concrete around it. The pole itself is 8 feet long. It needs to be down about 18 inches, 2 feet, and peace poles are internationally recognized symbols of peace. There are over 250,000 of these poles standing silently on every continent, each one a testament to the collective aspirations of humanity for a world at peace. The peace pole carries the message, "May peace prevail on earth." It is in 8 languages: English, Spanish, Russian, Ukrainian, Hebrew, Arabic, Chinese, and Korean. And our board selected these languages because that's where major conflicts occur in the world today. And it serves to remind us of the shared dreams of global harmony across different cultures. The message was originally conceived by Masahisa Goi, who envisioned it after witnessing the devastation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and hoped to guide humanity towards a more peaceful future. The Rotary Club of Radford Noon and Rotary District 7570 are proud to support this initiative. While you may know Rotary for its efforts to eradicate polio, our mission extends far beyond that. Rotary focuses on 7 key areas, one of them being peace and conflict prevention and resolution. Through this, Rotary provides training and education in peace building, funds graduate scholarships, and supports peace centers globally. There are 7 peace centers around the world, about to have an 8th one in early 2025 when they open that one in Turkey. They have awarded over 1,800 fellowships to leaders dedicated to fostering peace. These fellows work in diverse fields, from government to NGOs to academia to peacekeeping and more. They apply their knowledge and skills to make a tangible difference. Our Peace Pole aligns with Rotary's values, but it is not about promoting Rotary. Rather, it is about embodying the universal message of peace. To honor this, we propose installing the Peace Pole with a plaque that acknowledges the collective effort and the spirit that the message represents. I thank you, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much for bringing this idea to us. Are there any other peace poles in our region? Anywhere
There
from
are-
Roanoke through the New River Valley?
Not in the New River Valley. There are in Northern Virginia, or I should say, our district runs from Winchester down to Johnson City. And there are areas like Front Royal. They're putting in several at schools. I think Winchester has one. And the district is pushing it very hard this year. Our Rotary International president is pushing it. So our district governor has taken this on, and they are providing grants to different clubs if they will put them in. So I expect to see 15 or 20 throughout our district within the next 6 months or so.
So you all have been able to get a grant and purchase the pole. Do you have anything for installation, or would that be something that as a locality we would need to help you with?
No, we intend to do all of it. The only thing we may need help with, well, location and utilities, making sure that we don't hit a electrical line.
Council, what other, oh yeah, we don't want that. What other questions do you all have?
Do you have anywhere in particular in mind that you'd like to see this go?
Originally, we talked to the library, and that was high on our list. There are a lot of other, between the library and the school, high school right next to it, either of those would be great locations. I think Triangle Plaza might be a great location.
Well, you all sponsor that. I had that in mind as a potential location, that the Noon Rotary is a sponsor for the Triangle Plaza, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful triangle piece of property that would look very good on it.
What kind of maintenance is that going to necessitate?
Really, the only maintenance should be if we put some plants or some tree or some bushes around it, just keeping that clear. The pole itself should not require any maintenance. I'm assuming at some point 10, 15 years ago, it will be pretty yellowed and may need to be replaced or removed completely, but that's down the road. And maintaining it, the only concern is if somebody puts graffiti on it, then we'd have to come and clean it up. But,
Any other questions?
what's that? We would take that responsibility for any maintenance or clean up anything that needs to be done.
Well, I would just like to thank you guys for going through the effort to bring that to our community. That's a beautiful message, and one that we all can very strongly get behind. But again, thank you for your initiative for bringing this to us. So what do we need to do to facilitate getting this? Is the Triangle a place that you are comfortable with that you would like to see it at? Have you given that thought?
Everybody here is going, yeah, so.
Quorum by chance. What would need to take place for them to put that there? Would someone from our staff maybe go down there with them to make sure that, the placing is what goes with our
Well,
vision?
how about this? I'd like to make a motion that we find a home for the peace pole, either utilizing public property like the library, or maybe here in front of the building, or at another public property, or the Triangle Plaza, whatever works best, and then we can revisit that. Does that sound acceptable?
No, I would like to move this on. I would like to, we are all happy with the spot. I don't want to, pontification to
Well, if the triangle doesn't
paralysis.
work for some reason,
If
would
it
we
doesn't
wanna
work,
back
then
up?
we'll revisit it. But
Okay.
as of this point, I don't see why not. We're all happy about it. Let's stop talking about it and get it somewhere where the community can enjoy it, if that's,
And the
Yeah.
other day, we walked Arlington Street and cleaned up the trash, so that's right at the end of Arlington. We just turn around there, keep that area clean as well, so.
then could I propose a vote?
So
Oh.
we'll make a motion to accept the poll and to look at Triangle Plaza as its permanent home. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? All right, congratulations, Rotary, and thank you very
guys.
much.
Thank you so much for that.
Okay. Council, you have a notice in your packets regarding the need for positions on our Radford Tourism Advisory Commission and for the New River Mount Rogers Workforce Development Board. We do have interest for the Tourism Commission, but Jenny, I don't think anybody has applied for the Workforce Board, correct? Okay. So council, do you all have any thoughts regarding those two areas for appointment? Kelly, you are our representative on the Tourism Board. Do you have any thoughts regarding that?
Since I have been on council for the have no experience to.
Okay. Well, maybe since we have the opening and we have interest, would it be possible to reach out to Kim as the staff member that is associated with the Tourism Advisory Commission and have that discussion to see if that makes sense?
Maybe have her tell us exactly what
plan
it
is.
entails and all the positions, and then move forward. I think that'd be smart.
Okay. Well, that takes care of tourism then, potentially. For the New River Mount Rogers Workforce Development Board, I think we need to put some thought into that, maybe get with our Chamber of Commerce folks, and take a look at who might make a good business representative. Would that be acceptable to everybody? Because I do think it would make sense to have somebody there, but we need to figure out who that might be.
I'm on that board, and I'd be more than happy to bring this to them if council would approve that.
I think you have our direction.
Okay.
So thank you very much. All right, moving on to some new business. Actually, this one I think is a little bit of old business. We have been talking for some time about amending our 2015 ordinance on real estate property tax relief. And council, you all have some information on that. You actually have the ordinance itself. And it is an ordinance amending Article 2 exemption from taxation of real estate of certain elderly persons and persons found to be totally and permanently disabled of Chapter 35 Finance and Taxation of the Radford City Code to update eligibility criteria and requirements for tax relief. So the last time this was done was in 2015, and the council determined the levels that are listed in your packets. I think one of the challenges with this, the biggest challenge, is we have absolutely no idea if we adjust it by a couple of dollars or a significant amount, what that is going to do as far as an impact goes. We don't know if that would take care of 10 people, 50 people, or 100 people. David, am I right on that? I mean, if we make this adjustment, we don't know who might participate, we don't know what it might cost us, and so we are shooting in the dark a little bit. We do know that with the recent increase in property tax value, that 3 people in the community who had been receiving this relief were rolled out of that based on the value of their properties. So I really want us to try to figure out something. I have no permanent answer because it is a giant question mark. And for us as a community right now, where we are trying to ensure financial security and stability, it is hard to look at things like this and not have a dollar amount associated with it to be able to figure that out. So having said that, Council, what are your thoughts?
I would like to have more information and see if the Commissioner of Revenue can give us, you know, any other information, because we don't have anything.
And I guess, you know, where I'm coming from is, and, you know, I've shared this before, growing up, we were homeless. I do think that there's a need with this particular group of homeowners, but to be honest with you, if we were going to set aside money to help people in need, we've also had to raise utilities. And so there are people who don't own homes that are struggling really right now to buy groceries, let alone their utilities. So if council was going to offer some relief, I wouldn't want it to just be to those particular homeowners. I think we should maybe control the amount and identify the folks that we're trying to assist. My guess is we're trying to assist the most vulnerable. I'm suggesting that there probably are some folks that don't own homes that maybe even be at more risk. So that's my thought.
My thought is the unknown, as you kind of mentioned, that we were trying to get some stability when we're talking about our finances and things like that. So I just don't, without a dollar figure on there, that's hard for me to approve that right now. It's a good initiative and it helps very worthy people. It's nothing that I enjoy to maybe not consider, but I do think that would be tough with the unknown right now.
Agreed.
Bobby, what are your thoughts?
I would like more information. If I had more information, then I could make a determination which way I'd want to go.
David, would you help us here? Would you reach out again to the Commissioner of Revenue to see whatever else we can be told? Maybe could we see if there are similar relief programs in the Commonwealth that set a cap on how much total dollars are expended on the relief, so that we would have a definite number to know, and then also to look at any potential utility relief, what is appropriate based on our other sister public utilities in Virginia. You know, we're a little bit unique in that we're one of 12 entities that has a power company that is municipal as opposed to private utility. So can you help us maybe figure out a little bit of that so we have some more information?
Sure, just a couple of quick thoughts on it. Of course, every locality is different, every valuation is different, so I think that's one of the challenges in this, and then trying to figure out who falls in, because you don't know ahead of time, other than the 3 that are impacted by this, you don't know. And maybe that's the way to work backwards in this, is see what amount those 3 are and see start with that. At least that gives you a starting point. In talking about Ms. Foster's idea, you had something similar that was offered statewide during the pandemic. Maybe we look at that. That seemed to be a pretty decent model. See what was involved in it. You made application, you had to meet a certain income range, and then you fell into that amount, and you just set aside a
Certain
pool
amount.
of funds, you know, $10,000, $20,000, whatever it is you want to do, that would be eligible for that relief.
And just to be clear,
Just a couple of
I'm
thoughts.
not
That's-
necessarily, you know, suggesting we go that route at this point in our budget cycle and where we're sitting. I am just suggesting that there might be some other pockets of risk that are not homeowners that we would need to consider if we were going to do this. For me to be comfortable, I would really need to dig a little bit deeper and to see what citizens are most at risk if we're going to be setting aside money, and I'd want to control that amount. So.
Well, and this may be something that we just simply don't have the resources to be able to modernize this at this time. Doesn't mean never, it doesn't mean we can't revisit this in potentially the spring or next summer. I struggle with it because I know we're trying to find every single dollar we can to make sure that the revenue anticipation note that we have out there is paid in full. But I also recognize significantly, and I ask that this be put on the agenda for this reason, there are some folks who went from owing no tax to owing tax, and that's a sudden surprise when you don't have unlimited resources necessarily, as most don't, and that's a challenge for us. So, you know, as those who may be listening and watching here, this is a very tough one to look at, and I don't disagree with anything that's been stated. I think we've got to try to figure this out step by step. This may be that we maintain a program as we have it and try to adjust a little bit, or that we postpone but don't give up and continue to revisit this to see where we can go. It's a tough one to talk about. So for now, we'll ask for more information and more help to see where we can make a difference. Delay action, let's put it on the agenda for next time anyway, just to discuss, to see where we are, to see what additional information we might have, and then we can revisit it again, either every meeting or monthly, as we see where we are with additional information. Does that sound fair to everybody?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. And I'm sorry we weren't able to do more with it. I also get it. I'm struggling with that one too. City Council has amended a restricted covenant on portions of the Radford Corporate Park, the Radford Industrial Center, for our partners Tech Lab, that provided a construction timeframe limitation on future development of a lot that is adjacent to property that they own. This is, David, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is still a city-owned piece of property. And at this time, we just have a restriction on it so that nothing else will be done to provide a time frame for construction. The city has granted 4 extensions by resolution in 2011, 2016, 2019, 2021, and then most recently in April 2024 for another 36 months, taking us to December of 2026. Tech Lab would really like to remove the development restrictions for a number of reasons on Radford Industrial Center, Radford Corporate Park, Lot 11, which is 7.02 acres, and it's their intent to pursue commercial development and usage of the parcel. Steve Harvey is here with us this evening. Do you have anything you want to share with us regarding this property and Tech Lab's plans?
Hi, thank you for looking at this again. You know, when I look back and actually found some articles when we originally bought the property, and they're in the paper, and you can go look them up. We were going to bring 20 employees and invest, you know, a few $1 million. We're pushing 90 employees plus now, invested millions of dollars within the facility that you can't see from the outside. And I've taken many of you on tours to show you some of that extra work that we've done. So just want to, you know, thank you for considering us again. Any questions that I could answer for anyone?
Council, do you all have any questions?
I'll just start by saying you guys are an integral part of Radford, and we want you to be here for the foreseeable future. And what we can help do to help facilitate that, I'm in favor of. You know, you guys have brought jobs and industry into this city, so I do thank you for that, and I want some more like you too that continue to do that. So I appreciate you coming forward, and I appreciate you taking the time to give us a tour. You guys do just phenomenal work there, and you're an integral part of this community. We want you to be here for a long time, and we want you to continue to grow. So if as a council we can find ways to help facilitate that, I'm in favor of that. Thank you.
And I would just like to say, you know, I think, you know, what I've heard on the flip side is it is the city-owned property, and without any parameters, basically it's almost like a gift, because you can just utilize it, not utilize it. You can close down shop and, you know, potentially not release that property. You may have 3 people there. So could you speak to that or answer to that?
Yeah, we're busting at the seams within the facility, and we're trying to figure out the best option for expansion. I have plans that we've had for years, and we're actually presenting those to our board now for expansion on the site. You know, we'd hate to leave the city but, you know, we do find it restrictive, and future business opportunities, it is restricting us a little bit.
Would this help in your presentation that you're getting ready to
Absolutely.
give for growth?
They see it as a risk.
Would it be a possibility at all to say that this is granted in perpetuity pending a minimum employment level at Tech Lab? Would that be acceptable to you to say that, so that this doesn't turn into, say, just a small packaging facility down the road? And not that Tech Lab is intending to do that, but you have had partners around the world. You're part of a global organization now, just to keep in mind. And just for our assurance that if something should fundamentally change, that there might be an opportunity to revisit it. Do you anticipate that there would be at least a minimum funding as long as our minimum level of employment as long as Tech Lab was in Radford?
I think we could entertain that.
I think what we're looking at is just a release clause. So we want you to utilize it, keep utilizing it, but if for whatever reason you take everything overseas and you have one person running an office here, that there's, you know, some ability for us to get our property back, unless maybe you want to buy the property, and then we talk about that too.
Would that be more acceptable than having these other clauses in there,
know,
that
I
as
think
long
it-
as there was at least a minimum amount of operation at the site, that this would be in effect?
Absolutely, yeah.
Comfortable. I mean, we want you to have, you know, have every tool in your belt to continue growing there. It's just that is one thing that has recently come up as a concern.
Sure.
So I just wanted to see if there was some way to address that comfortably with your organization, so we know in the event, like I said, if you end up just having one person there answering phones for distribution, that we could get that parcel back.
Yeah, I think we could look at that for sure.
Does that put you in a better place? I'm not looking to do something that makes this more difficult for you, but we also have a fiduciary responsibility to the citizens with this asset to say we vetted everything so that something like that couldn't happen where it's just sort of a dead property.
Right. You know, and the company is global, and we talked about that quite a bit on the tours. There are manufacturing sites in China, in Denmark, San Diego, but they do look at our site as one of the largest in the U.S., and they want to expand on that.
Which we would love, and I'm all in favor for that. Yeah.
Resistance. I mean, we want to be
Exactly.
your path of least resistance. We want to do everything in our power to make your presentation go exactly as we all hope.
Right.
So maybe if you could even, maybe if I may, maybe we have you talk with the powers that be at your company.
Sure.
And then can we talk about it again and let us know their position on it, and if there's something that they're comfortable with, or if there's something, if they're just not. It'd be nice to know that.
Okay.
Or do you need something tonight? Can we revisit in 2 weeks, or is that too long?
We're looking at it right now, so.
Okay.
You know, and
Well, the initial piece was 20 jobs. Would that be a minimum staffing level that you would be comfortable saying you would
Absolutely.
maintain? So that if it ever dropped below 20 jobs, then this would come back to to
Absolutely.
revisit it with the city? Is that acceptable to
Would that
everybody?
do the same thing for you as us just releasing it?
It
And-
would,
And it
yeah.
gives us just a little option back
we've
for
got
that?
to have some teeth in the game, and you do too, so.
Well,
sure.
and the whole piece, we know you're going to stay. We know you want to be a part of this, and we understand that. We want to facilitate it. But it would be remiss of us to just say this is in perpetuity. And then again, like Ms. Foster mentioned, that maybe plans change, and this is a property where just an office is maintained for a period of time and nothing else happens.
As long as you need it, we want you to have it.
You got it.
That's the main point. That's the main message. So if that would be feasible and you think that would get you to the same point that you need,
So now let's talk legal for a minute. Mike, is that acceptable for us to say that we release this covenant, the restrictive covenant? However, if employment should drop below 20 persons at the Tech Lab facility in Radford, that we would then revisit that as a council? Is that acceptable?
I could work on trying to put something together like that. It may be in the form of almost like a performance agreement. It's the closest thing I can think of. But just to make sure that we're straight on this, you know, as I understand it, Tech Lab already owns lots 11 and 12. It's not a matter of giving them you know.
I thought that we still owned the property.
No, I think as I
Okay.
understand it, the issue is this.
It's the build-out on the property.
Steve, correct me if I'm wrong.
It's the
but
build-out, yeah.
in other words, they own lots 11 and 12. 12 has already been developed in accordance with
Right.
the restrictive covenants. And there's a restrictive covenant that basically requires a certain level of development of each lot, okay? So you've got, you know, more than was required in development on lot 12, but on lot 11, there's not been any, okay? So,
And you own that.
yes. and-
Well, then
and
I'm,
they-
I can,
Okay,
then
I'm
I
fine
can
with that.
release it.
I
If
thought
you
that
own
we
it,
were still
then
working
you
on
do
this
what you
with
want
the
with it.
covenant.
They already own it. In other words, they already own lot 11. I think that what
They
they're
own it,
asking
but they have
for-
not fulfilled the covenant
Restrictive covenant.
to complete that. Okay, that's
Exactly.
where the
So in other words,
understanding is.
You know, throughout the past several years where council has been granting these extensions, it's been an extension in the requirement to meet the restrictive covenants.
To ownership.
Requirement, well, no, to meet the restrictive covenants requirements on the development of that lot.
Right, right.
Okay.
Because the flip
And-
side of that, if it is not developed, then it would have to come back to the city, correct?
Correct, 'cause
Yes,
that's what the
okay, so
restrictive
that's where
covenant
that piece
provides.
is, yeah.
So I think that if you're asking me, you know, what the city from a legal standpoint, where you would start to say address this issue, I think that probably, you know, I guess from the hip here, I think that probably it would require like a boundary line adjustment. And what I mean by that is you've got two lots, lots 11 and 12, that are adjacent to one another. You could do a boundary line adjustment that basically results in dissolving that boundary line between the two lots, and it becomes one big lot.
That would be the cleanest.
You know, that may be the cleanest
that-
approach. And
So
I
now,
guess-
if we do that, and again, plans change, that would just be an undeveloped piece of property there that has value, are we all good with that?
I'm good with that. You own it, you do with it what you will. We have another area we're developing,
Okay.
so I
as
mean,
we're good with that.
personally, as long as you own it, then if you need it to be that parking lot that, you know, you would discuss, then that's yours to do. And if they take their operations overseas, then it's on them to sell it. So,
I think to me, the way this would be set on foot, in my opinion, would be probably for Tech Lab to, you know, provide the city with a survey that would show the boundary line adjustment, you know, because you're basically taking two lots and making one big lot out of that. I think that would be the first step.
Would they need to do that, though, until they're ready to begin construction? It could just be maintained status quo if we remove the covenant, correct?
Well, I guess that I'm thinking in terms of they're probably going to want some form of deed of release of the restrictive covenant to record. You know, in other words, I'm not sure, I don't know, I'll let Steve speak.
Yeah,
to
Mike,
what
you're the
they're
lawyer.
Do we currently have a first right of refusal on that parcel with this covenant? If they were to disperse it?
I would have to look at Tech Lab's deed to make
I was
sure
just-
on that.
Yeah, curious about that.
And I'm not saying Tech Lab's going anywhere. We don't want you to. I'm just trying to think the what-ifs and what have we done with the property if what-ifs should happen. But if council is fine with it and
I'm
we
fine
feel
with it.
comfortable going ahead with removing this restrictive covenant, understanding that that means we cannot revisit this in the future and that it would remove the ability for it to revert back to the city, we can move forward with that. David, did you have something?
Just that the mere fact that Steve said at the beginning, the investment of both capital investment and the jobs created, and certainly the utility usage has far exceeded what was originally proposed out there a decade and a half ago. Gosh, how long ago has it been?
2010.
So, okay, year I became manager. So, okay, so there's a lot that has happened since then, and as you all have seen, a lot to do with the growth of the company and its home in Radford. And I think let Mike take a look at it, and if there's the ability to combine the lots, that may be the easiest thing to do, so you're not having to.
So do we just
kick in
need
all
to
this
give
other-
approval of the resolution tonight, or do we need to do something different?
I would authorize the city attorney.
What I would ask is for a motion, I guess, authorizing me, the city attorney, to prepare or review a deed of release of restrictive covenant in coordination with Tech Lab for presentation to council for consideration. So then, and to be real specific, this is what the restrictive covenant requires. It requires that certain facility improvements be substantially undertaken within 12 months of acquisition. And in essence, for lot 12, there's been a ton of them, but for lot 11, there's not been any. And that's
Steve,
what
does
you've been
that get you
that's
all
what you've
where
been
you need to be?
extending.
That gets.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to authorize the city attorney to work with lots 11 and 12 to develop a new deed for the removal of the restrictive covenant. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Will you let us know if in the meantime, if there's something you need from us about what our intentions are?
I need a restaurant at the bottom of the hill.
I agree completely. If somebody out there would like to build a restaurant at our corporate park, we would love to help you with
No.
that. Okay, well, this has been an eventful few weeks, and before I turn it over to the city manager for his comments this evening, I just wanted to say you may have read in the news that David has announced his retirement. And as a community, we could not be more appreciative of the service that you have given the city of Radford. I won't say any more right now. I'll have comments later, but David, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of quick things. Another lane of paving has been done halfway down. It is a fairly slow project, but the work is really, really good. We're going to get quality work out of it. We appreciate the contractor and definitely appreciate VDOT giving us this very, very large grant to do this project and administer it. So that's going to be great news. And it does not go all the way down to the 2-lane, but Public Works is going to go down there and work on that piece between High Meadows and the 4-lane to get us through until we can get another application that is US Route 11. So that does help us in moving forward anything there. We're also going to look at one for this is the State of Good Repair for Tyler Avenue. The logging trucks that have been going up through there have sunk down some pathways in that, and that's US 177. So both of those we want to pursue anything and everything we can get in the way of grants, since those are state highways that pass through our community. But that project is moving on and doing a great job.
Hold on. I just want to, I've gotten a lot of questions about, is the city paying for this?
No.
Okay,
it's-
I just
it's
want to
100% VDOT
say that
funding.
again. And also,
100% VDOT funding.
no city
Yes,
money is
no
going to
city
these
money
roads.
involved. In fact, they pay direct, so as far as we know. So
Also, why is VDOT deciding to do this right now? What is their reason that they're coming? I've got a lot of questions on that, so.
just
Can you just-
the way that it was grant timing, we applied for it. It's about a 3-year cycle. I think
Okay.
each 3 years, you apply and wait 2 to 3 years before you get the money. We did 2 of them on West Main Street, as I recall. Jesse and David, you may remember time periods from way back in the last 5, 6, 7 years. And then we've gotten 2 sections of West Main Street that were done from the 4-lane, from the 2-lane. It was 2 pieces that were done down to about, I don't know if it went to Denby Street or the next street down, which would be Preston, I believe. And then we got West Main Street from the post office to, actually, this is our 4th one. This is number 5, from the post office down to where the funeral home is there at Walker Street. So been great projects. Another one we will ultimately look to get, it was included in this originally, was the East Main Street piece down there from Bissett Park all the way to Tyler Avenue. But with the project down there and the road conditions were pretty good, that piece was dropped off because it involves a lot of ADA sidewalk improvements and that kind of thing. The project got expensive, so VDOT went on with it. like
But
that.
with that, we still have some State of Good Repair money that has been transferred to the city, correct? That we could use to pave a portion of that, or is this
No,
using everything?
none of it comes to the city.
Okay.
None of the State of Good Repair money. Sometimes it's administered by the city and then paid for by VDOT, but this time they're administering it and doing it and everything.
And so we will not have any additional paving monies for East Main at this portion? Okay.
Not in this program, no. But we will be eligible to apply again next year
Okay.
for these other projects I just mentioned.
Okay.
Sorry, just wanted to clear that up for anybody that was wondering.
Oh, we also had the one from there at Wildwood Park back to Memorial Bridge as well.
Yep.
So this is number 6 then, or 7.
A nice surprise
Yes.
They're here.
Yes. You
That's
don't
great.
really get to pick, but they're here and they're 100% free. So thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem. Also, we've been in a season of a lot of great special events. Y'all may be mentioning those later. Community Fest, concert series that got rescheduled. The weather was a little cold, but we did have good turnout, a few hundred people for that on Saturday night. The library event Saturday was wonderful. I'll let y'all mention that later. Moving into the Highlanders Festival next month, and then another kind of our final concert for the season, and then other homecomings and things like that are going on. So a lot of community activities going on over the next little bit, which is great for our community as we move forward. And then the other thing is our community has changed in size. Schools are back in session, both our city schools as well as Radford University, and several hundred more students are back with Radford University, and we'll take that as it comes. So we're excited, and thank you, Radford University, for your contribution to our community. There's been some ribbon cuttings down there and some really good events going on that as they grow in our community, and they bring more students in for our community, are good things. As the mayor mentioned a while ago, after 40 years, I've announced to council my retirement. I cannot begin to say enough about how much of an honor and a privilege it has been to serve our community, our beloved Radford, my hometown. A lot of opportunity along the way. Bob Asbury started by offering me the position when he was city manager. I graduated on Friday from Tech and went to work for him on Monday, and it's been a whirlwind for 40 years. My hands have been a lot of different things, from community information all the way through to my present job for the last 15 years as city manager. So it has been great to work with council such as you all, the citizens of Radford especially. I would recommend this to anybody. It's my love, it's my passion, it was my calling, and to help people and to help our community and to grow our community and to grow our region and our brand, I think is, you can't ask for more. So hopefully it's made a difference. More to come later on, but that's just the formal announcement was actually last week. It happened all faster than I thought it was going to as far as announcing and that kind of thing, but I guess this is our first meeting of being together, but I've kind of foreshadowed it. I don't think there's been a meeting. Jenny and my staff laughed because they said, you said when the next person. I don't know how many times I said that during budget in the last couple of years and back during the pandemic, but we've been through a lot together, economic development, a pandemic, and the challenges and the great things that have come along for our community, but we're better for it, and our community is much better, and just thank you, and we'll just go from there. I'll leave it there, so thank you. I think that's all announcement-wise, unless y'all can think of something. We've got various utility projects scheduled around, nothing real big, but just tie-ins and things to make our community better. Housing projects are going great. I think we're somewhere in the $12 million-ish investment range and probably the most housing we've had in decades. So a lot of really, really good things going on in our community, and a lot of opportunities, different kinds of housing, new businesses, expanded businesses, and we're looking forward to hoping some additional business opportunities. West Radford Commerce Park with the Moog availability there, and then of course the Applebee's. So we'll be promoting all of those as we're moving forward as economic development opportunities. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, David, and there'll be more to say. Bobby, what do you have for us this evening?
Well, I want to start off with thanking Mr. Fletcher for coming down, and I was out there Saturday, Wildwood Park, and I noticed the fence too that was taped up, but I know the city is working on it. I'd also like to definitely want to appreciate the presentation on the Rotary Club Peace Pole. I think that's just the coolest thing that they're doing, and my heart goes out to them. So I really appreciate that. On the proclamations, Constitution Week, I really appreciate that, and especially Patriot Day. Wow, what a day. But I think we should remember always this country and our city as far as praying, for everyone, especially our country. And I think we should continue doing that. And I also appreciate the report on the New River Valley Regional Commission. I learned a lot from that, and I appreciate that. And other than that, I wish everybody enjoy the weather out there here in Radford, and a lot to do, a lot to see, and thank you.
Thanks, Bobby. Seth, what do you have?
I'm sure everyone will touch on it, but there were some good events. The Dolly Parton Imagination Library, I know my daughter had a big kick out of that, and it was good seeing both Davids there. And the library does do a good job, and I know that the little kids enjoyed that, and I learned a lot about bats and turtles and all kinds of stuff. So it was a good time. So that was well done. And the community fest, great turnout. I heard a lot of positive feedback about that, so I was happy about that. I didn't get to make it to the Ryan Perry concert, unfortunately. The bats did my little one in, so we called it a day after that. That was too much excitement for her. So, but hate that I missed it. Thank you, Kim, for her concert series and all the staff and work that went into that. I know a lot of people look forward to those. I'm glad that we were able to proceed with the Comcast franchise agreement. I do think that competition's a good thing. And now that we will have multiple providers in this city for our internet and other services, and it's also hopefully going to be a decent revenue generator that we can work with too. So I look forward to them and hopefully providing good service to this community. Also too, would like to thank the Rotary Club for the Peace Pole. That was cool, and I think that'll be a great addition. And lastly, I've said it before, but I wanted to thank David. It's been an honor and a pleasure working with you. And anytime I've called you, you've answered the phone or answered a question, whether it was at midnight or 6 in the morning. You're always there. And you know, I don't know who I'll text for deer carcasses anymore. Usually, hey, I see it on. But anyway, I appreciate everything, and you know, I know that you love this city, and it's in your blood, it's in your heart, and. For that, I thank you truly, and you know, wish you absolutely nothing but the best. But you won't be hard to find. We'll still be able to find you. So thank you for everything, David. That's all I got.
Thank you, Seth. Jesse, what do you have?
All right, well, I have two different categories. One is my carryover topics. And this might be something for the next meeting, but I wanted to get an idea on any movement on the townhouses on Rock Road, as well as our next corporate tour. I've not heard anything. I'm not sure if you guys have yet, but I'm ready to go for that. Also, if we've given any other thought to what we're going to do with our tourism building as well as the Wells Fargo building. So just an update on where we are on those things would be great. I did not look at the website today, actually in a few days, but I still really would love to have a list of organizations, the churches, nonprofits that are contributing some sort of care or services to the folks in our community, to get a place where it's all compiled. I would love to have them even maybe once a month come and present what they have to offer, especially with the winter months coming. I know that there's a lot of people doing great things, but we don't always have a grasp on what that bigger picture is. That is really an important goal that I have, is to get a handle on those for the members, and so we can continue, as I say, to be a resource. Did I mention an RV park update too?
You had not mentioned it yet.
Yep, that's my other thing, just like if we can get an
I can tell you
update.
that site plan's in.
It's what?
The site plan has been delivered.
Oh,
and
okay,
Staff
good.
is doing the review on that.
I thought you said it was something Zen, and I'm like, what?
Oh, it's very zen.
It's very zen. Yeah.
Also be Zen, so there
Yeah,
you go.
I was like, oh, what? Also, I haven't noticed that we've had our panhandlers at the end of the road. I didn't know, are we doing anything different about that? Or are we still looking at putting up some sort of signs? Is that a need?
I think it's been managed so far. Let's see where it goes a little further, and then the winter obviously is a different time, and we can revisit that maybe.
Are we doing anything different, or are people just finding new locations?
There are conversations, correct?
I'll come up here so you guys can hear me. We actually, you know, when the ordinance is changed about the park, we also use that as an opportunity to go out and engage these individuals that are in the islands and standing in the intersections. So what we've done is, when we are handing out our brochures, we're also telling them that, you know, it's illegal and against the ordinance to be interfering with traffic and asking for money. So that educational opportunity, we haven't charged anybody yet with the crime, but it has certainly helped free up these intersections and clear up some of these right-of-way
Made it
issues
safer
that
for
we-
everybody. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Change, but I just wanted to make sure that, if we do foresee that becoming an issue, or if you need extra support in that process, please get back with us and let us know, because I noticed that the signs weren't there, but no one was there either, so, okay.
To our community policing
Yeah.
team, I think they've done a fantastic job of getting information out there and trying to recognize where help is needed and that kind of thing. So,
Yep.
good
Well,
job.
thank you for being a resource to
Yes, ma'am.
those folks. I appreciate that.
Thank
I am not going to do a major announcement. We have been preliminary accepted for a grant at Glencoe. It is of the value of $225,000, which is pretty major. It really is going to be very instrumental in some projects that we've been looking to do. We're looking at restoring the building overall, the windows, the woodwork, the plaster. The Main Street entrance, we want to make that handicap accessible and to actually be the main entrance. So that is, you're going to probably see some action on that fairly soon. This is from the Paul Brune grant. It's a historic revitalization grant. What we have to do right now is wait to get final word from the National Park Services who validate the projects, but we have been told that we have been preliminarily accepted. So everyone send good vibes, but we're hoping that works out. If that works out, at some point, we're probably going to need Scott to be on premises, because he's going to need to be overseeing those projects closely, and now they have limited hours. And so that's something that I have some ideas on that I'd like to follow up with everyone, and I'm not sure if that's a closed session or...
It's personnel. We'll talk about that when we
Okay.
get time for it.
Well, so if it needs to be in closed session, I would like to get that on closed session, because I like to get things moving. So anyway, let's get that. I have some ideas. I had a question about the tourism board. Looks like we're good on that. Another thing that I would love to do is to get a handle on what properties the city owns. And I'm just not a big fan of us just holding land indiscriminately without letting, folks develop it or put a home on it or a small business, whatever the case may be based on the zoning. But I would love to see if someone could take me out. I'm not talking about the simple right-of-ways. I know there's nothing that we can do about those, we need those. But if there are any plots of property, any parcels that we might be able to release to do something with, I would love to be able to get a little tour of that. So would that be possible?
Most of the properties we have, you did turn over to the EDA, the property at the end of Wadsworth Street. That's a fairly large tract. We've been looking at Prospect Hill, which is a large tract. And there, of course, the West Radford Commerce Park. There are tracts of property that are adjacent to other residential that could be sold, or and then you could have an addition or something like
Right.
that. But we can do a master. Let me get you all a map that shows all the parcels, and then we can go from there. on
That
what
would
y'all
be
wanna look
great.
at.
And I
Yeah,
know
I can do
Seth
that.
and I were in some meetings about looking at some property, and it become a stalemate because we were so limited. So that's one of the properties that I was also referring to.
And to tie on to that, for the property at the end of Wadsworth and Rock Road, that is over in the EDA, is that correct? Correct. Okay, all right, and do you know what it's currently zoned? Is it B2?
It's zoned B2 business.
If at some
It's
point,
B2 or B3, but it's general business.
if at some point we were to be interested in making it a mixed use, or maybe for a more of a residential type setting, obviously that would go through Planning Commission and then to the EDA. Could they still do something with that, since it's not in an economic development branch at that point?
Correct. They could pursue it through the Planning Commission, because y'all did turn it over to them, subject to the zoning regulations. If they had some changes in that, they would pursue that with the Planning Commission for, like you said, residential or some other kind of use, mixed use, that kind of thing.
So maybe it would be a good idea for us to talk to some of the EDA and see if they had any plans for that.
Maybe
or
have them come and talk to
Well,
us
we could have
about
a
it.
joint meeting. Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Here's what might make sense, David. If you put together that map of parcels, Also put what is needed for us to maintain, if there's some issue, like if some things are with EDA, if there's some parcels that we need to maintain for access or for some sort of buffer, something like that, so that we know that. And maybe we could then sit down with EDA and see about, maybe relieving ourselves of some of the parcels and going from there and have a joint meeting. So that's something not crucial, but maybe in the next month or so.
Yeah, that's important. I'd like to get a handle on that. I would like to thank the Noon Rotary and the Heritage Foundation for working so diligently on the Field of Honor program. This is something that really they've created and every year I think it's going to get bigger and better. This year, I did speak with the commander at the Arsenal, and she is going to have a lot of her dignitaries, a lot of her officers and soldiers come, as well as some of their first responders. So I'm very happy with the conversations I've been having with her. She got sick, my schedule was bad, but we're still slated to meet. It's now going to be the beginning of next month, but I'll keep everyone posted on that. I did a ride-out with Officer Terese. It was so nice to see him because when I first met him, he was working in dispatch. And then the second time I saw him, I rode out with him, and it was one of the first evenings that he was actually released to go by himself. And so this time when I went out with him, you could just see the difference in his presentation and his confidence. And really, his philosophy is community policing through and through, and I was able to witness that. And I would suggest if anyone has time or they don't have time, I would make time. It really is nice to have that one-on-one. I always learn something different. We did have an amphitheater meeting. We met with a talent acquisition scout to get a little bit of idea on how much it would cost to bring in those higher level acts. We're still in development stages, so I'll keep you posted on that. The Department of Social Services meeting, exciting. We have 3 possible adoptions coming up, so we're hopeful for those. Had a chamber meeting, and we are working, get my pile of piles, on the casino night, which will be November 2nd, 2024, at the Highlander from 5 to 9. And right now, we're looking for sponsors. So if you'd like to sponsor and get some advertisement, let us know. It's very symbiotic. There's a lot that you're going to get out of it, a lot of exposure too. Went to the ribbon cutting at the new Arts Center at RU, and that is such a beautiful building, and I love the collaboration just to get it built, but also all the collaboration that's going on the inside of it. I'm very excited to be able to go and maybe see some activities, some performances, maybe even sit in on a class sometime. They were doing a dance class while we were doing the ribbon cutting, and we were all kind of glancing. It looked like they were dancing with pillows, but I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it looked like. So I was like, I could maybe do that class. So we also are doing Glencoe sessions. They will have different bands or groups in. I'm going to pass that to everyone here. I'll also put some of the information up front. And the next sessions are October 4th, November 1, and December 6th. You can also go online, become a member. You'll get all this information too. We finally have the stair lift at Glencoe put in. Here's Scott riding it up and down, trying it out. So that was made possible through a grant. We're very excited that we're having more of our floors accessible to everyone. So thank you again to the Heritage Foundation for making that happen. I had a question. This is probably something also for another meeting, but as I was traversing 81, I noticed that there was a sign that was stating that we are a part of the Virginia Technology Corridor. And I'll be honest, I really am not totally sure what that means, or if there are specific benefits or things that we need to go to our delegates and representatives and discuss. So I would just like maybe to know a little bit more about that. And is that just a designation, or are there opportunities with that? And again, last, thank that Rotary for all their work for that peace pool. What a beautiful beautiful addition that's going to be to the triangle. I want to thank them for taking that on and making that happen. It's just a really special thing that we're going to be able to display. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Jesse. Kelly, what do you have for us this evening?
I'm going to keep it short. I wanted to thank the Rotary Club for coming out. That peace poll is amazing, and I really like the way that you guys chose your different languages to go on there. It's going to be a great, another great asset in the community and destination for citizens and tourists and visitors to come and enjoy. Saturday, I did the color run at Belle Heath. It was well attended, and I'd like to thank all of the RU sports teams that came out. I know men's and women's basketball were there. I also think volleyball were there. And so they really enjoyed interacting with our Belle Heath students and teachers and parents, throwing colored powder and sliming everyone. I took the path of no slime, so that was, I thought was enjoyable, but both kids really had a good time, and it was a great event, and all the money that was raised goes back to Belle Heath, so that was really good. I also visited the farmers market, which continues to be amazing. Go down every Saturday until October 12th, I think. There's always great things there. I did miss Ryan Perry because I needed to rest a little. But I do want to remind everybody that Chairman of the Board is going to be our last concert on October 12th. So make sure you mark your calendars to that. I have such pride in the community and everybody that came down and worked really hard on Community Fest. We had some really hardworking ladies doing that. The bands were amazing. I went around and talked to a lot of the vendors and a lot of the workers and police that helped and all the volunteers, and I really didn't get any negative comments at all. And I was trying to pull it out of people, like, what can we do better next year? What is, anything that has, been difficult? And I really did not get any negative comments at all. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. And if you have any words of advice for making it better next year, we would love to hear. But I really appreciate everybody coming and making that a successful first event. So I think that's all that I have right now. Oh, and go Bobcats for winning, yes. And come to the game Friday.
And thank you, Kelly. And I just want to reiterate, too, about the community festival. We had to try to guesstimate how many we thought we had. We know we had thousands.
Yeah.
We don't know how many thousands exactly, but it's thousands. And there were more people in some businesses on that Saturday in one day than have been in there in sometimes weeks or months at a time. So that was very good.
So I will say that speaking with some people at RU, they did do some, I don't even know what to call it, drone geographical testing, I guess. And so they'll have numbers to be able to tell us pretty close how, but not right now. It'll be maybe a few weeks or a month or so. But hopefully we'll get a better number of how many people actually attended so we can plan better for next year.
And it's tricky because there were some people that were there at 11 a.m. and some people that were there at 2 p.m. and some people that were there at 4 p.m. So it was definitely a wonderful success throughout the day, and I think it helped our entire East Maine business community. And we need more events that help do that and showcase what we have in place. So I think that was wonderful and appreciative of everybody's efforts. In the wee morning hours of that morning, trying to get the street set up and going, to the wee morning hours of the next morning, getting it all cleaned up and taken care of. Everybody worked really hard to make that happen. Great collaboration. I did want to mention the Ryan Perry concert. It was chilly, but we had warm hearts and good attendance. It was a couple hundred people. I have to say, Sophie Lynn, who was the opener, was absolutely amazing and delightful. And Ryan certainly energized the crowd with his unique sort of blend of country and rock and roll. So it was a good turnout. Folks there seemed to be really happy. Again, chairman of the board on October 12th. And we've talked about possibly making that kind of a fall beach fest kind of feel, maybe with some additional elements to help with the season, So more to come. I don't want to spoil all the surprises that might happen, but that should be a lot of fun. That is also the day of the Radford Highlanders Festival, which will take place on the campus of Radford University. That is a partnership between the city and the university, and we'll have more to share on that probably at one of our next meetings as we give you a more complete schedule. But we will have a strongman competition, and I think we have one of the strongest men right here with Travis Coffey, who may show us a thing or two. You never know. Are you entered? I'm hoping you are. There you go. That's what I thought. But it's a great day. Please plan to be here. Invite folks in from out of town. We would love to have folks who've not returned to Radford come back and enjoy that weekend as sort of a community homecoming activity. And it's a great time to come together. The week before that is homecoming on Radford University's campus, so that will be a very busy weekend with lots of activities taking place. And then that Friday night is Pythagoras. I do have to say thank you to Addie Levy. She is serving as the producer of the Glencoe sessions, along working with Scott and the whole team at Glencoe Mansion. It's really exciting. The Friends of the Blue Ridge are streaming that event. It was a wonderful turnout on Friday night. Jim Lloyd did a great job. And just a win all the way around. Glencoe is continuing to be a real center of activity for our entire community, so please try to make it out October 4th, and then for the other shows as well. You know, there's so much going on. I'm not going to keep going on that. I do want to mention two quick things. Kelly and her daughter did a great job at the Potter in the Park event that we had. It was absolutely wonderful. Hundreds of people came out, thousands of dollars raised for literacy in the New River Valley. The literacy volunteers do an amazing job helping prepare folks for all the things they need. Oh, and Jessie got her a pink and blue wand. How cool is that? There we go.
So be careful.
Miss Sarah made those for us, and she did an amazing job with those. She's making, gosh, a couple hundred wands altogether. It was really terrific. But I will say that was a wonderful event. Again, many of those folks came down to the Community Fest afterwards. I think it's a great opportunity to have synergies with those activities and just a whole lot of good stuff that went on that day. I'm so appreciative of the hard work that everybody in this city does. There's so much activity from our first responders to our program planners to our economic development, to just everything that happens on a daily basis with public works, sanitation, and all those services we rely on, like our utilities. But there's one person in this city who has really been the glue to hold all that together and who knows every little nook and cranny of this community and has helped make every single thing he's touched better. Now, we're going to continue this little farewell tour all throughout the fall and say lots of nice stuff about you. But David, I just have to say thank you for 40 years of service, your entire adult life really, here at the city of Radford, from economic development, community development, assistant city manager, touching every person's life who lives here in a positive way. When people need something done, they come see David, and things happen. And it does make a difference in people's lives. Radford is a stronger, better community because of his efforts, and it has been an honor and a pleasure to work with you as our city manager, serving on council. It's hard to believe there will be a time when you won't be sitting in that chair, but I wish you and Lisa and Abby the very best as you start a next chapter in your life in a few months. We're not there yet, so there's plenty of time to talk about this stuff. I do hope our citizens will take time to reflect on David's service, and when you see him, embarrass him real good and tell him how much you appreciate him and all the things that he's done, because it is unique, and not every city employee in every community does that, and we're very fortunate to have you in this role and taking care of us. Radford is always going to have its challenges, and Radford is always going to have its opportunities. And I feel really good about the things that we've done this evening, the wonderful activities that were talked about, the resolutions we passed, the peace polls, another good example of a community moving forward, not just standing still or moving backwards. And we're going to continue to do that. There's going to be lots more information about our finances and about what we're doing moving forward. We're going to continue to have these discussions as a community. So for those of you who come out, thank you for coming out. For those of you tuning in online, ask questions if you have questions. We want to answer them for you and try to make sure that everybody knows what's happening in this community and that we're moving forward. And with that, we will say thank you to everybody. I do want to mention just the Dolly Parton Library is a wonderful success, and I have to thank the Lamplighters. Join the Lamplighters if you can, or make a gift. They are supporting that program, and they are our heroes for doing it. And thank you to Elizabeth Sensabaugh, Morgan Esterhausen, who's the youth librarian, and the entire library staff for pulling that together. That's a wonderful thing. With that, we will close our meeting and say good